Tonight on The Edge, a Detroit rapper is going viral for something other than her music.
Fans know her as Dank Demas, and they're fuming after a Lyft driver allegedly denied her a ride because of her size.
Deja Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like, oh.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car, or Muslims in my car.
A plus-size TikTok activist slash rapper reaches for her phone. She navigates to the Lyft app to call herself a ride so she can attend a party. When her phone notifies that her car is here, she steps outside to enter the vehicle, only to be stopped and told she's far too big to enter the car.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What? For what? What you saying?
Yeah, I got no space in my car is small.
I can fit in this car.
No, believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
Believe me. So, I'm sorry.
She then records the whole situation and then goes onto social media the next day to announce to everyone that she will be suing Lyft and the driver, taking pictures with her attorneys. But who is she, and why are we now in this ridiculous situation? So let's go back to the beginning. But before we get right into this one, please make sure to leave a comment down below saying LOL. I'll reply to every single one of you, plus it helps the algorithm. A plus-size rapper named Dank Demas is taking Lyft and one of its drivers to court for refusing to let her in the car after the driver bluntly said she was too heavy to fit. And now she's playing the weight discrimination card while demanding millions in a lawsuit. I wonder what she'll spend it on. But seriously, I mean, what else is the driver supposed to do in this situation? If someone physically can't get into the car, what are you going to do if you're the one behind the wheel? What, like maybe stretch the car like it's made out of rubber? Break the laws of physics? Or at this point, just risk damaging your own vehicle just to keep a passenger happy and secure that perfect 5-star rating? I mean, come on. You can't magically make the car bigger. And even if you could manage to force or squeeze her inside, what do you think would happen then? And honestly, I was going to make a joke at this point saying perhaps AI might prove us wrong. Oh man, I wish I was joking, but there's generally this video going around online now of someone who's AI generated the TikToker showing that they can fit inside of the car.
Dank Demas is suing Lyft after being refused entry into a small car by the driver. Let's use AI to find out what would have happened if the driver relented and let her in. And she's in.
I can fit in this car.
No problems at all.
With one Reddit user saying this should be used in court. Man, I hope it's not used in court personally, but at this point, who really knows? I swear the world is just getting more and more ridiculous as time goes on. It probably will be. And sure, this might certainly be a game changer in court. And if it is, well, we'll be doomed. Either way, if she gets her hands on this, which I sincerely hope she doesn't see this video. Anyway, on a more serious note, I think everyone could agree that, well, common sense should come into play here. But unfortunately, this small incident has snowballed into a huge legal issue. So, in today's video, we'll break down the details and discuss how it's escalated to this level. So anyone who isn't familiar with Lyft, it's one of the largest ride-handling platforms, offering everything from car rides to motorized scooters, bike rentals, and even rental cars in the US, and some cities in Canada. Honestly, it's basically like Uber. Now, on January 19th, Deja Blanding, better known as Dank Demas, her rapper name, posted a video on Instagram where, in that incident, she was trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party when she was flat out told she wouldn't be accommodated in the sedan. And apparently, that really set her off. to start recording and put the entire interaction on blast, stating that she's ridden in smaller cars before without a problem. So now, out of nowhere, she's being told to book a larger ride, which didn't feel reasonable to her at all.
And to be more specific with you, I got very tired tires.
What I got to do with your tires?
Yeah, and you have no space.
How you know I don't have no space?
Yeah, I got no space in the back.
How do you know I don't have no space?
Because I've tried before.
Huh?
Because I've been in this situation.
So every big person you turn down because they can't fit in your car?
Yeah, because they need to order the Uber XL.
No, I don't never have to order an Uber XL.
Then I'm really sorry.
Just by looking at how all of this went down, it's obvious how petty the situation is. Which, on the other hand, is probably why one of the many reasons it was immediately picked up by the media. And I'm sure many of you are wondering, as you are watching this, how it makes sense for someone just doing their job to be put in a position where they have to ignore basic safety rules just to avoid an uncomfortable conversation. Like, no one is saying that people shouldn't feel good about themselves or be comfortable in their own skin. And this isn't even about body positivity or some major social dilemma. However, accepting yourself for who you are and expecting the world to adjust to you, well, they're two completely different things. And just from that, you can already tell how this person is such a wacky character who blows things way out of proportion, because in the clip you can even see how calm the driver is while he was explaining that his tires weren't built to support that much weight, which, if anything, just goes to show that he wasn't being rude or making it personal. He was just stating the obvious. And I think at this point, if you asked pretty much anyone what they see or think at that moment, well, you'd probably say the same exact thing he did, that she's too big for that kind of car. So it's not like he was making up some excuse just to deny her a ride, because at the end of the day, every type of vehicle is built with specific weight limits for safety reasons, and disregarding that could actually cause serious problems. Not just for the driver, but, well, for everyone in the car. And what makes it even more ridiculous is that she was going to get the full amount refunded anyway. So there was no actual loss here. Yet she still acted like she had been wronged in some extreme way. In fact, after the car she booked drove off, she claimed that she couldn't attend the event she was supposed to go to, and as a result, she suffered stress, humiliation, mental anguish, and emotional damage, which, according to her, are now grounds for legal action. So, the very next day, she made a post on social media to announce her lawsuit and started posting pictures with her attorneys, with some news medias covering the stories on what the lawyers have been saying. One article posted this.
He explained that Demius was too big to fit in the back of the seat, and that his tires were not capable of supporting the plaintiff's weight. The complaint says he drove off and Demius was unable to attend her cousin's party. It says she suffered severe stress, humiliation, and mental anguish, and emotional damage, the complainant says.
With some of them trying to even argue the fact that weight discrimination is on par with race. What? And apart from people reacting to how she's making this seem much bigger than it is, one of her other lawyers' comments really pushed the buttons of many people when he stated it would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car, or Muslims.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car, or Muslims in my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
As you can imagine, that infuriated people, with some people on YouTube leaving comments like this.
That lawyer was dead wrong. It's not even close to the same as not wanting black people in your car. She can control the weight of her body. Vehicles have a weight limit. 600 pounds is pushing it for a sedan. The white lawyer, it's no different than saying, I don't POC in my car. Are you kidding me? That's completely different. Unbelievable. weight is a choice in 99% of cases.
And my honest thoughts? Well, yeah, that's certainly a bit of a stretch. Honestly, because those things are not always comparable to each other. Yes, race or skin color is a part of your personal characteristics, but those are completely out of your control. I mean, since when has someone's, I don't know, blackness ever ruined a car? It doesn't make any sense. Not to mention, weight is generally a choice, and yes, I know that angers a lot of people, but in at least 90% of cases, it's something a person can actually do something about. Though, of course, it's not an easy process or something that happens overnight, but still, if someone is really committed to making changes, well, they absolutely can. So the ideology that was used just doesn't hold up in the context of this situation, because those other traits that Dark Damius lawyer mentioned, well, they don't affect how a car functions. Like, no matter who gets in, the car's going to work the same way, but a person's weight is different. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but the woman looks damn near 500 pounds at least, barely able to walk properly on her feet. And I'm not even joking. Just look at how much effort it takes her to walk just a few steps. And if that wasn't bad enough, literally just seen this on social media as well, where the 36-year-old went onto a radio show and they were forced to find a bigger seat for the rapper. And yes, I said vehicles are designed with weight limits for a reason. And it's not just cars that have them. Even elevators, for example, amusement park rides, treadmills, even mobility scooters. Everything that basically carries weight has its limits. So, with that being said, I don't think the Lyft driver did anything wrong here. Obviously, please let me know in the comments what you guys think. I mean, look, you wouldn't load a compact car with a ton of bricks, right? At least the bricks wouldn't complain, so it might be better, but you'd get a truck or something built to handle the bigger load. Some people are also arguing the fact that she might have been upset because she didn't want to pay for another ride, that she's just too cheap for that option. Since, for the larger vehicle, it probably would have cost twice as much. But personally, I don't think that's the main reason, because realistically, booking another car would have been much cheaper. So why would she even take this to court if her goal is simply to save a few bucks? Especially when, in the end, she'd likely end up spending thousands in legal fees. Now we're going to talk about how Lyft handed the blame to the driver, which is kind of unfortunate, with this one YouTube comment saying this:
As a woman who used to weigh 260 pounds, that woman is a total disgrace. She knew she could have ordered an XL vehicle, but she was being cheap and didn't care about safety or any possible damage.
Anyway, the point is, this wasn't about base or discrimination, but more about a legitimate concern regarding the car's capability, because the service is called Lyft, not Crane. Oh god, she might sue me now. But apparently we've reached a point where being completely detached from reality gets you sympathy. And corporate banking. Why are we rewarding people for these types of behaviors? And Lyft itself, because instead of standing by the driver who was just being practical, Lyft rushed to put out a statement about how they unequivocally condemn all forms of discrimination. As if this is some kind of civil rights issue, but as we can see, it clearly isn't. Honestly, kind of cowardly, if you ask me, and kind of a weird response. But the rapper's reasoning behind all of this, as she put out a statement saying this:
I've been in the same type of car many times and never had an issue. This was someone who was discriminating against me just because of my weight.
Sure. And now, by doing this, the company has practically admitted guilt on behalf of the driver, without even pausing to question if the claim had any validity in the first place. Which, let's be honest, does it really? Probably not. And as of now, I have no idea if the driver was suspended or already fired, but I'm sure he's been left hanging for a while. And because of this, a lot of drivers, even from other companies, are frustrated and saying they feel bad for the guy, worrying about this situation and how it could impact them as well in the future. After seeing how quickly Lyft just threw the driver under the bus, too scared of a bad PR to even consider, well, the obvious truth that she was too big. He actually did come out with a statement himself, and he said this.
She ordered an Uber X. My X is listed by the manufacturer to handle no more than £850, evenly distributed throughout the entire vehicle. She is £500. There's no way it's good for my safety and the integrity of my vehicle to have 60% of its entire capability, of its entire capacity, seated over one wheel. She knew exactly what she was doing. She ordered a tiny car and had her camera rolling, knowing exactly what was going to happen.
This feels especially hypocritical, knowing how they always preach about their workers having the right to reject or kick out passengers if anything interferes with their safety or the integrity of the car. But when the drivers actually exercise their right to do so, they're clearly punished just to simply appease a passenger throwing a tantrum. So I kind of get why others feel that if this happened to this person, it could easily happen to them, considering all the uncertainty around whether the companies would actually have their backs in a similar scenario. And this is even more disappointing for those drivers, since most of them aren't working in a fleet-owned vehicle, and they don't have strong support in situations like this. Like this guy, who's a 1099 contractor using his own car, meaning he's entirely responsible for maintenance and any potential damages, and that he has to foot the bill if anything goes wrong. It's not like these Uber drivers are making millions, and I'm not surprised he had his concerns. With other drivers coming out now and telling their stories on situations where it was similar to this and they actually accepted the job. And this is what happened.
I had a passenger her size and I failed to refuse the trip. My axle broke. Lyft didn't help with my repairs. I'm proud of that driver for standing his ground. She needs to order a XXX Lyft. People are always trying to save $1 and forget about the poor drivers. I hope she doesn't win.
So if something happens, like say the suspension gets wrecked because the car wasn't made to haul a ton of weight, he's the one left footing the bill. Not Lyft, not the insurance, just him. All while making, what, like $5, $10 per ride? If he's lucky? Assuming he even gets tipped, which most don't even bother doing, and judging by this person's character, I very much doubt she would have. And yet, you have people like this, people who for some reason think it's fine to accept someone barely scraping by to take on all the risk to just prove a point or defend some moral stance and to avoid being labeled as, what, fatphobic? Seriously, this woman is completely unhinged because instead of handling this calmly and reasonably, she's taking it straight to the legal system. And okay, maybe to her it's just one small battle, nothing too overwhelming, but let's actually think through this. If it's such a minor inconvenience now, what happens when it's not just a car, but a plane? What if she got to the gate and was flat out denied a seat because of her weight restrictions? Would she be suing the entire airline for that too? I don't know, but honestly, she would have needed to book at least 2 or maybe even 4 seats. Because trying to force yourself into just one seat, well, that's just obviously not going to work, is it? Those seats being fatphobic, god damn it. But okay, let's now just take a step back from the whole drama of her trying to sue Lyft and the driver, and now let's try and focus more on who is she? Who the hell is she? What does she do? As we've mentioned earlier, well, she's a rapper. Surprisingly enough, actually, I checked out some of her songs, and I wouldn't say they are like the worst thing ever. I was expecting it to be a hell of a lot worse. Not too bad. I wish I could show some, but for obvious reasons, I can't due to copyright issues. But I will say this, it's like normal rap with a little bit more of heavy breathing in each sentence. Also, wanted to point out this comment that I saw on one of her rap videos. Lyrics. 2 number 9s, 1 large number 9, 1 number 6 with extra dip, 1 number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, 1 large soda. Big Smoke would be well and truly proud of that. Despite all of this though, she is quite present on social media, with having a YouTube channel coming up to 10,000 subscribers at this point, and even her own TikTok account, with honestly a staggering 147.7 thousand followers. On there, she primarily posts more music videos and her going to the gym. Also, while scrolling on Twitter the other day, I did come across this article in New 500-pound rapper Dank Dankers proves she can fit in a car, squeezing into a small SUV. The rapper is currently suing Lyft after a driver refused to let her into his car because he said she wouldn't fit. With a 1 minute and 26 second video linked down below showing this.
Ride is ready.
See me last time I went to cop me a Durango thanks to Al.
We got everything.
I don't know, y'all. I might just cut the range.
But I must say, going back to what we've previously mentioned at this point, well, I think all of that kind of still holds up. This is just honestly such a wild story from start, and it's certainly not finished. But I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comments down below. Do you think she's justified in suing him and the company? Or do you think he had every single right to choose who goes in his car? But with that all being said, I hope you guys found this one interesting. I know I sure certainly did. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.